It was a hot summer afternoon. Lily was playing in her backyard with her dog, Barker. Her mother and father called her in for lunch. Lily happily walked into the house. She was only so young. Her mother and father loved her more than they loved each other. A brown-headed girl with beautiful dark brown eyes. Barker followed Lily into the house. As they sat around the table, Barker went into the living room and lied on his dog hit bed. Lily got up, got some dog food, and gave it to Barker. Barker just barked happily and ate the food. A few years passed on. Lily's parents died at her age of 5. When Lily's mother was dying, she gave Lily her ring. Lily was upset. She cried and cried and cried at her mother and father's dead body. She went to her aunt, which owned a farm. Her aunt hated her. Ever since she was born, Lily was taking her aunt's sister away from her. But now that Lily's mother was dead, Lily's aunt could do anything she wanted with the child. Lily was only 5 years old, and she was already cutting down trees with an axe. The axe she wielded in her hand was a new axe. Had some blood stain on it from her aunt slaughtering cows and pigs with it. It had a red top and a light brown stick that held it up. The beautiful silver blade was brand new, and it already had blood stains on it. Lily now wore a silver outfit that was more gray than silver. It didn't even shine like silver was supposed to. Her brown hair was short and cut. Her hair got cut by her aunt. Lily didn't like her hair getting cut. But as the years went on, when she was 10, she was now using a hoe. Wasn't she supposed to be using a hoe when she was the age she was when she wasn't supposed to be using an axe? That's what her other aunt asked. The aunt that gives her all the jobs. Lily had 3 aunts. Aunt Weed, Aunt Shucker, and Aunt Slaughter. Those 3 aunts bossed the young Lily around. Lily didn't like that her aunts hated her. When Lily was 10, she started working the field. Her aunts got fat. Her aunts got very fat and just hated her more. Now that Lily's aunts hated her, she had to slaughter the animals herself. She never wanted to. She never did. She thought to herself, only if her mother and father hadn't died, she would still be happy with her mother and father. She never wanted to slaughter the animals, but she had to. The bossy aunts of hers made her cook all the dinner, made her do everything. She had to work the farm by herself. She had to train the horses by herself. She had to treat the farm by herself. She had to do everything by herself. She had to cut down the weeds. She had to cut down the trees with an axe. But that axe she had ever since she first came with her aunts. It started to rust and got old. When she went into her room, She always saw a strange figure out the window. It was strong. It was a tall figure, tentacles growing out of its back. It had a tuxedo on, and it had a blank white face. She never looked at it. She noticed it once, but she knew what it was. She knew it was a Slenderman. She never looked directly into his eyes. Night by night, the Slenderman got closer and closer and closer. She wondered why. At the age 12, she went outside, wielding the axe in her hands, wielding the blood-stained axe into her hands, wondering what the Slenderman wanted from her. She stood up to the Slenderman, and even though the Slenderman had no nose, no eyes, no mouth, no ears, and no hair, he spoke to her. "Child, what are you doing here? You aren't brave enough. Me. Look me in the eyes, child." She listened to what he told her. She looked up at the tall figure. Before she knew it, she was dead. Before she knew it, she was dead. She was in the Slenderman's grip. The tentacles gripping her throat, her axe falling to the ground. Before she knew it, she was just a plain body lying on the ground. She got up. The Slenderman was gone. She knew that was a sign, but she didn't know what the sign was. She thought she was dead, but she was actually alive. The blood-stained axe was at least 3 feet away from her from when she dropped it in the Slender's strong grip. She got up weakly and walked over to her axe. She picked it up and brought it into the house. Her aunt screamed and shouted at her, "Why are you out of your room? Aren't you supposed to be working the field? We're a starving child." She just stormed away from her aunts, not listening to a word they had to say. She took a knife out of she finally took up the grip. She'd find her voices in her mind telling her, "Kill them, slaughter them, kill them, slaughter them." Those voices in her head kept saying that over and over and over again to her. Her eyes closed. The grip on her axe got stronger than it ever has been. Now, wherever she went, she held the axe. She turned to face her aunts. Her eyes looked like they were about to catch on fire. She stormed up to her aunts. But 2 minutes later, there were 3 fat, dead bodies on the floor. Her axe completely, instead of little stains on her axe, complete lines of blood dripped off her axe. Her hands stained with blood. Her long nails that were painted pink were now a strong, deep blood red. The ring that her mother had gave her was stained with the red blood. She smiled. It felt good to kill. The voices in her the voices that were in her mind said, "Well done, Lily. You are now a killer." When she heard that in her mind, she dropped the axe, fell onto the floor, and she fell to the floor on her knees. She started crying, for she knew one day she would become a killer of her aunts, but she never wanted to be a suicide. She wanted to commit suicide, but she knew she wouldn't. But she knew if she did, she would see her mother again and her father again. She stared at the axe and swiftly glanced back at the ring. The ring was a silver ring. It had no diamonds on it. It was only a completely silver iron ring. When she first came there, her aunts tried to rip it off her finger, but she slapped them in the face. They growled at her, so she went off into the fields and picked up the axe, and she vowed that would be her weapon. And now that it is. She slipped off the ring, slowly but carefully, and there were words in it. It said, these were what the words said inside of the ring. No matter what happens, we will always love you. This is from your mother and father. Goodbye, Lily. Goodbye, Lily. We love you. Lily dropped the ring on the floor. It was a hardwood floor. She immediately picked up the ring and slid it onto her finger. She put her hands over her face. Now her face, when her hands touched her face immediately turned into a blood-stained red. Tears ran down her face. She wanted to see how badly she wanted to see her parents. She didn't know what would happen to her. She loved her parents, but she hated her aunts. The 3 dead, plump, fat bodies were just stained with blood. Blood streaks ran all over the floor. Lily mumbled to herself, "What have I done? What have I done?" She mumbled that to herself over and over and over again. A strange figure walked up to her, wielding 2 axes in his hands. It was night finally. She was in her bed. A strange figure walked into her room. The figure was wielding 2 axes, a brand new axe and a very old axe. He had a brown sweatshirt on with a blue hood, orange goggles on, and a dark gray mouth gear that was covering his mouth. He almost looked like a car. He held the axe over Lily's head. She ran over to the side of her bed, for she was wanting to scream "TC Toby" so badly, but she knew that would only cause him to chase her with it. That would only cause him to chase her with his axe. For she knew all the creepypastas, but she didn't believe that they existed. But now that she knew that TC Toby was in her room, she picked up the axe and held it steadily and swiftly in her hand. The strong grip that she held on her axe wasn't as strong as it was supposed to be. It was weak and shaky. Her hands felt very numb, but the ankle that she had injured many years ago was the numb part of her body. Blood ran down her hands from her aunt's murder. The figure just smiled at her like the figure always did. One of the axes immediately flung out of the figure's hand and slit her throat. She fell to the ground. When she woke up, she thought she was in heaven. But really, she was in creepypasta. Her name is Silver Spear.